Oh. Now, let me move this over to the actual correct monitor. Let me see what we got going on here. Much better. It's always weird, like, messing around with my windows and stuff and worrying if I have any top secret anything up on a screen that I shouldn't have. How are you guys doing today? It's Monday. Hey, Nick. So since I just had to restart the stream, I've looked in to see if there are any viewers in this stream. Let me see. I don't have the numbers turned on because it would weird me out if I had the numbers turned on. So I never look to. I always have viewers turned off. Barrick, howdy. Because I noticed last year before I even streamed on Twitch, I think I was on D Live doing news related stuff, and that was the first stream. Jasmine and I, since the whole COVID thing was popping off, we didn't have a ton else to do. I wasn't working at the time, and so we streamed like every night while it was happening, like when it was all first popping off, and it was mysterious. But I noticed that if you got the viewer number or the viewer count on, not you, me, if I've got the viewer count on, I would look and fixate, and when it fluctuated, I'd be like, what the fuck did I say? Did I say something wrong? You know, that kind of thing. And it just, I realized how silly that was. So I just turned it off. And these days I just always assume I'm talking to like the same 5-10 people. Whoever's in chat. So I'll tell you what, guys, I don't know if you were in here when I said this a few minutes ago, but I'm kind of distracted. We just got a new puppy in the last week. My last dog died, unfortunately, pretty suddenly of cancer, and we were super bummed. And I don't know, maybe it's weird or something like that to certain folks out there, maybe all of you, but it was we were like, you know what? We gotta have another puppy. And so we started looking, and the kind of puppies that we like are pretty hard to find. And so it was looking to be like 18 months. G.I. Jojo. Wonderful name. Thank you for the sub. I'm gonna get back to your name in a minute because I was just thinking about G.I. Joe a lot. So we were super bummed. Definitely pretty devastated. You know, I've had that guy since basically when I was getting divorced 9 years ago. And he was my buddy through a lot of adventures. He made it through 2 divorces, 3 countries, I guess. And it's a super rad dog. So after a couple weeks of just being bummed, we start thinking about it. We're like, you know what? We got all this stuff. His legacy should live on through a puppy, because we had been wanting to get him a brother or sister this year anyway. He's such a rad dog that we figured he would help make whatever new dog we got pretty rad too. And anyway, so we started looking, and it usually takes about 18 months to get a dog like him, an Alaskan Kleekai. And there's this one little puppy on the website just kept sitting there, and we were like, why is no one grabbing this dog from Russia? So we pinged him like 2 times and really didn't get a response. And so finally I just sent him a third response, was like, hey man, this is our situation, this is the deal. If you're bullshitting around, like, let us know, we'll stop bothering you. But otherwise, if you're not bullshitting around, like, let's talk, let's make this happen. And so they got back to us. Jasmine, like, I think pinged them, and she's not with that. She's maybe not as forceful as I am. So I just followed up and was like, let's cut the shit and let's talk about this dog that's on your website. So anyway, our little dude, little Russian dog came in. He went from Moscow to Estonia and from Estonia via animal transport here to Bremen last week. We've been hanging out with him. And dude, he's already so funny. Tyrion, thank you. Yeah, Jojo. Dog got to he went from California to Texas, lived in Texas with me for a number of years, moved to Germany, then Sweden, then back to Germany. So he was loved because he's such, unusual. They're unusual looking dogs. And so he was just freaking loved by everybody he met, and he was the sweetest guy, but he was very shy about people. Whereas this new puppy seems to be cool with people but shy about dogs, so we'll have to work on that. But yeah, Jasmine, my wife, loves to study, so she's already watched like all these videos in the series, ordered a couple of books, and has read them on dog training and all this other crazy shit just like in the course of a month. She's so like hyped on it. So we're doing everything, clicker training by the book, all this stuff. Like it's so funny, like how into it she is. So Klekai, yep. He seriously looks like a husky that's this big right now. And Ziggy looked bigger in every picture than he actually was. People would see him in real life and be like, what in the world is that? I think he had a blast. Yeah, so I know different people have different views on, like, I've always, my family's like super shelter dog family. My mom's got 3 at the moment in Florida and a pig. Right, so, but from the moment I saw the first Klekai, my ex was like, hey, you should get a dog instead of dating. I was like, oh, whatever. And then she ran into somebody. There was like one Klekai in Austin at the time, and she ran into the person that had it and sent me a picture. Back when picture quality wasn't that good on a phone, and I was still like, I looked it up that night. I looked up Klekais and was like, holy shit, this thing is crazy looking. How cool is this dog? And then found a breeder in California, and then saw Ziggy's picture that night. So the first night I ever saw a Klekai, I found Ziggy on the breeder website, immediately contacted her, and was like, I have to have him. Like, he's so crazy looking. He's so cool. He had a brown eye and a blue eye, and was just like, I had the whole shtick. I was like, brown eye, blue eye. I'm gonna name him Ziggy Stardust, because he got the David Bowie thing going on. And if you listen to the Ziggy Stardust song, there's a couple lines in there that made me kind of think of him as a dog. Anyway, like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, I will have this dog, and got a hold of the breeder. And then she was like, well, another family's interested, but I'm like, no way, this has to happen. I'll get you the money as soon as the bank opens tomorrow, and we'll make this happen. Ziggy was basically on a flight to me like 2 days later. I went back and reread the email thread. When I was basically, right after he died, I was like checking on the breeder, checking back with her, and went through my old emails and was like, holy shit, that was fast. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's the same thing with this Russian dog, right? Like, his name is Rune. Rune. At first I was thinking Sigil. But then I was like, I'll save that. When we get a little girl dog, maybe she can be Sigil, and then her short name could be Siggy. All the Swedish people thought his name was Siggy instead of Ziggy. So anyway, his name's Rune because he's got like this very crazy black mark between his eyes and down his forehead. So it looks like a Old Celtic rune. Anyway, enough dog talk. G.I. Jojo, the reason why I was thinking about you the other day is, well, not you specifically, but the show G.I. Joe, is because everybody, when they're running around with their masks on, it reminds me of Cobra. I was like, and wasn't Cobra like a homegrown, wasn't Cobra actually like a homegrown terrorist organization, but it was international in nature, and they were based out of Springfield, Illinois? Wasn't that? So I thought it was kind of funny. I fixated on that for like a whole day. Husky guy yourself, they're just so big. This is basically like a pocket husky. Like if you love huskies, but you have an apartment, and you maybe want something that is not so loud. We'll see. This guy may prove me wrong. Anyway, RuneScape music is kicking in the background. It's pretty loud in my ear. Is it fairly subdued on your end? We have a new topic today. I figured today will be kind of a chill day because I'm still in the throes of puppy fever and really mentally don't have my shit together. Honestly, this is the first time I've been sitting at my PC in like 2 days. I've been doing everything on my laptop. So figure we could try this. We'll see if anybody's interested in doing this today. I didn't really give you any sort of heads up. If you guys end up being into it, cool. If not, I'll poke around in the environment and I don't know, get out of here early and go play with my puppy. He may wind up, Jasmine may wind up bringing him in here at some point. You decided your name from Basic, hence the GI part, and when we were screwed up in Basic, we were called JoJo's. I don't think we had that when I was in Basic. I went to Basic at Fort Benning. A sense of scale and grandeur, Horse King. Yeah, thank you. This will be a lot easier. Microsoft can, or Google can do all my spelling for me. Lots of mob traffic and intersecting pathing points. Intermingled mob types. Well, those are different things. They work well together, but they're not necessarily the same thing. You love seeing hidden cultural items that make sense with and point to whatever's dominating the area or was. I like that. I hear some noise out there, so maybe a puppy nearby. Hold on one second. Hidden cultural items that make sense and point to whatever is dominating that area at the moment or was. It's funny, that specific item is one of the reasons why Bunny and I are like really spending time trying to hash through the history of the world. I mean, no joke, all the way through like every great civilization, what happened to them and stuff, just to try to make sure that when we're world building, and not like the story or lore world building, but actually when we're developing the art for the world and the dungeons and stuff, it makes sense why different sets of ruins and layers and stuff are there. Interesting segments, e.g. the different areas of Wrath Mountains or Steam Font. I'll have to come back and see what you mean there. Mobs that leverage the usefulness of tracking. Nice. I would say secrets or things that lore. Help me with that one. Come back to that one. I'm not going to write it down. I feel like maybe there was something missing. sense of conflict. Oh, Dave was saying that I was popping when I was doing this last time, like because I keep turning my head and I'm reading so much. Let me know if the audio sounds like screwed up at any point or whatever. We'll work on it. How are the levels generally? Because this will probably be one of those ones I want to keep a VOD of. I want to keep these ones that we've been doing together as VODs. So a sense of conflict at the transition between areas, e.g. how High Pass had gnolls on the Kanos end and orcs on the report end. I'm not even looking at what I'm typing. Apologies if it's spelled wrong. Skilled kiting opportunities. Oh, you guys are. I've awoken the sleeping giant or dragon or whatever the frick the phrase is. I'm gonna have to catch up. A good outdoor zone includes lots of dog enrichment items. I wrote that down. I didn't intentionally. Challenging. Dangerous to traverse or linger in. Outposts. Merchants. NPC camps. And something giant and menacing. Oh, you know what's weird? This is a Swedish keyboard that I'm touch typing on. So I wonder if I can use an American keyboard again. Oh man. As boring as it was to run through, I'm not gonna write all that shit. Have a soft spot for large tracts of farm. Me too. Large tracts of farmland. Do you hear Rune out there crying? He's right on the other side of my curtain. You can open the curtain, babe, if he needs to see me. I think the sun isn't affecting the camera that much. We actually have sun again in Germany. Bandit camps and mountains in West Karana. For me, a big bonus is past lore that helped bring about a offshoot of a mob, aka your different zombies. So it helps bring about an offshoot of a different mob. Oh, okay, so like when you've got gnolls and then they turn into gnoll zombies. Lore that helped bring about an offshoot of zombie. Oh, you mean like just knowing why the stuff was there. So let me try to think of a different way to say that. How about lore justifies the mob population? What you were saying was areas with a big lore influence. I'm noticing a theme here with some of you. A mix of lower and higher level mobs in the same zone. Absolutely. Absolutely. Zones that aren't English is hard. Obviously only for a specific level range. The Wrath / Steam fonts to me sounds like a biome connection system. I'm gonna put a couple dashes here so we can come back to that. Help me understand what you mean there. Environmental obstacles like water, lava, and mountains? Yes. Environmental obstacles that, sorry, like water, lava, or mountains that alter how you travel through the zone. Yeah, I've just always referred to them as zone sweepers. I don't know if that was a common term and I was using it from the community, but behind the scenes it was always a term. No, it's a good flood. I appreciate it. Your interaction here is really, really nice. Jasmine's ignoring him right now, so as to not encourage him when he whines, we just ignore him. We saw that in videos. I have a fun story about him earlier having a little accident, but it was really hilarious. Let's see. High level / KOS zone sweepers. Tunnel of Row made EC a good zone. Not sure how you capture that. Tunnel of Row made EC a good zone. I think that's a good enough way to capture it. Most of us will know what's being discussed here. Yeah, Jojo? Yep, I get it. Natural congestion spots, maybe. Can you even hear him? I just looked at my mic monitor bar thingy and I didn't see anything. I'm wondering if you can even hear him back there crying. Explicit. We'll just say POIs, POIs. Seeing a big house on a hill, a large statue in the distance. Can't hear him? Oh. Maybe my settings are better than I thought. Yeah, Demay, those landmarks are really fun. It's funny when you mention that. It's like, it's stuff like that when you even look at how we set up this first zone, it was with little things like that in mind, just more as reminders to us and as discussion points for our talks with you guys than anything. Bodies of water. So many great zones always had a lake or river or ran along the ocean. EQ really did a lot of cool things with water POIs. Roads for beginners. Their way around, but not necessarily at the most optimal speed. Yeah, that one, it feels like Ali, he's pointed out like the illustrations that one level designer has done, and it really makes me think of that as like, if you follow the roads, maybe it really gives you an interesting story. It leads you through and gives you points of interest and like shows you the zone in a way that's kind of maybe optimal from the designer's storytelling point of view, but it's just sort of, it's up to you if you want to follow it. Oceans with mysterious islands. Ocean zones are especially great if you have working boats. So let's say we'll just put that on here. Especially great if you have working boats. Do you need to be able to control the boat? Still waiting for good boat combat in an MMO? Oh man, I've seen it in a lot of MMOs I haven't played, unfortunately, but I don't know how good it was. Landmarks are very important for people to learn to navigate the zone without a map. That's a great point that I almost left off there. No, I just killed the stream and restarted it. It didn't crash. What else do we have here? Roads to travel to places, distinctive camps of different levels, distinct biome type feel, some wandering mobs. So I think we've covered everything there. Let's, even if we were duplicating it, let's do distinctive camps of different levels and distinct biome. Distinct is probably not a word. Biome type feel. Wandering mobs. Mark Wilds, thank you for the follow. All right, I'm gonna quickly try to catch up with all of this. Random spawn spots for those special names. Confusing geography and lack of light at night, making tools like sense corpse, sense heading, true north, summon light stones, etc. useful. Sorry, I was just laughing because I was trying to remember. I'm so bad with my old EQ lore. True North. What was the damn spell that they put in as a joke? What were they called? Not fabled. Not damn it. It's so funny, like I remember this shit, but I can't remember the specifics. Ancient True North. Thank you, Nick. If I just had it at the tip of my tongue, I'd be so much more entertaining. The Morgue. Thank you for the follow. Hopefully that's not a sign. Let's see. So I've got to come back in here. Confusing geo. Interesting ground drops is where I'm at. If I miss anything, you guys feel free to repeat it. Interesting ground drops. Oh wait, didn't I set up? Can you see? You can't see it. You're supposed to be able to see it. I thought I had chat popping up over here as well. Maybe I've got it covered? No. Sorry about that. I got good feedback the last time we were doing this, and I know what happened. I was screwing around with the pop-up. And so in theory, if I pop this out, you guys are like, what is this dude doing? Pop out. Maybe it'll read the window and appear in some weird spot. Let me know if this is actually helpful at all. There's an experiment we ran the other night. Then in theory, you can also see where I'm scrolling and stuff. Alright. So we'll get back at it then. Let me scroll up. Alright, so interesting ground. Spawns. And you put in like the staff of the wheel spoke under the frozen river in Everfrost. Cool. Let's see. Not just challenging from a content standpoint, but also disorienting players with elevation changes. Alright, so let's say elevation changes, fog / draw distance, places to fall off, etc. Thinking it would be nice where mobs change with day-night cycles if you put it in. Same with seasons. So day, night, and seasonal we'll put in there, plus other population changes. Cool. Day-night cycle mobs are cool. It also ties into how long the day is in the world. I always thought it'd be cool to have in-game days be like 20 hours IRL, so you be able to camp night-only mobs for several sessions. Alright, so you're saying, let's see, longer day-night cycle to allow you to camp night-only mobs for several days. We'll have to get back on that one. Talk about that more. Well, with many of these, I guess, right? All right, coming into page 2 of themes. What about a zone with low level side and high level side, and those sides switch depending on time of day or some other cycle? All right, so low level side and a high level side, which changes based on some criteria. Example, day, night. Oh, you're saying Kithakor just felt too short to bother setting up a proper camp. I see what you mean. That's an interesting point. So I'll go back into here and say Kithakor felt too short for a proper camp. That's a good one to point out, because I think there may be other ways to improve that beyond just extending the day-night cycle. Only one that had decent boat combat was Pirates of the Caribbean. That was years ago. I remember that game. I do now, actually. I forgot about that game. Mark Wilds, thank you for the follow. Oh, I said that before. Shit, I just wrote it down and wrote it out. Did I say it? I think I said it. Right before the morgue. Alright. Son of a gun. Interesting skyboxes, lighting, fog setting, and weather effects. Interesting skyboxes, lighting, fog settings, and weather effects. Man, a good weather effect gets me so jazzed. I really, really, really like that about Valheim. I like their weather. And I swear I was just looking at... Oh, I was watching Bunny had linked me Twitch streamer's VOD for a GTA roleplay video. And they were sitting on a bench cursing at each other for like 3 hours. It was funny. The weather changes really look cool. I'm really into watching people play that game. I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. I think there's something there. Sky Islands such as Tree Towns. Interesting that you call them Sky Islands. I'm going to put that in quote. Such as tree towns, mountain peaks, connected by bridges, or literal levitating islands above part of a zone. We have a couple of those in mind that you hopefully will think are pretty cool. True darkness with modern lighting provided by Unity would be wonderful. EQ walked further and further away from true darkness as updated clients came out. I think game like Rust looks pretty good at night with torches. So true darkness with modern lighting. We like that concept as well. I think it's, if you've been watching us mess around in Unity, you've probably seen us head straight in that direction. One of the first things we did. A place to visit or sell or buy certain goods. I like that you put certain in there, which means it's you're thinking specifically some sort of limitations or uniqueness. Structural pieces that align sun moons. For us it'd be moons, yeah? Moons at a particular time, or maybe trigger some event. Ooh, especially if like you build it and then you get it aligned, all Indiana Jones style or whatever. Was it Indiana Jones? So many movies have done it. Fifth Element? Ooh, that's a new line. Triggered world events. Like in Great Divide. Yep. PvP bases and objectives. Guild factions / quest nodes / trainers in not unlikely places like the Ranger Guild in Kithikor. What? Ranger Guild in Kithikor? Is that a thing? I swear I've just been in Kithikor. I didn't even know that. Never played a ranger. Merchant camps near dungeons or other places that adventurers will congregate and have loot they need to sell. Alright. What's up, Bordis? Merchant camps near dungeons. That just made me realize I'm typing so many of these, I'm not necessarily always seeing people's names. Sorry about that. Near dungeons or other places that adventurers would congregate and have loot they needed to sell and supplies they needed to buy. Be thinking about the impact on visiting cities and stuff with that in mind. Curious what your thoughts are with regards to. We really want to try to keep cities as relevant as long as possible. So as with the last time we did this, everything's going on here, but I'm immediately thinking of like, all right, so if we didn't want to do it specifically that way, could we do it in another way that does the same thing that you're thinking, but maybe has some interesting limitation or whatever? So yeah, so everything's going on the list, but I'm already starting to like think through the implications of a lot of these, which is a lot of fun for me. Thank you. Would be cool to have area bosses that give a bonus to mobs nearby when killed. When killed? Bonus to mobs nearby when killed. Not when they're alive? Doing in-game drunk races from the bank to the lift in Kelethin was a lot of fun. In-game drunk races. Raves? No. Races in sketchy places. An idea for a zone with a northwestern US rainforest type climate where it rains most of the time. On a rare occasion, when it stops raining, some high value mob appears. The rain could go away either via RNG or be triggered by a druid clearing. Interesting. I like that. You know what I'm going to do? I think I can actually cheat. I'm just going to do that for this one. Let's see if it works. And then we'll do this. And then we'll do this. And you said rain could go away either via RNG or be triggered by a druid clearing the weather via some expensive consumable or casting that spell that they had that did nothing. Clearly defined camping spots like Orc Camp, Orc Camp 1 and 2 in Commons, or Orc Highway in Row. We were just on the Orc Highway. It was so much fun. I think Nick's a big fan of highways. Outdoor dungeons. Like AVX / K. It actually screws me up more if I try to look at the keyboard. KFC, giant forts, etc. Nice one. Paths that are only accessible via correct party members, like a shortcut that requires levitate. Nice one. Paths that are only accessible with correct party members or abilities, like a shortcut that requires levitate. And just do Control Shift V when pasting. Let me try again. Control Shift V. Oh, really? Really? I'm 46 years old and I didn't know that's how you clear formatting in a paste? That is what I love about life, man. You learn some new shit every day. That just became like tip of the week for me. Reason I said when the boss is killed, it's like they go into a rage. I see what you're saying. So I'll keep that one generalized in my mind as something changes, right? Niente. Howdy. It's good to see you. Not sure if someone said this already. A place for different play styles. Not in that way. So we had like the ability to kite listed, but it wasn't. You're actually going broad with it. So, a place for different play styles. Outdoor zones. Setting up NPCs, whoopsies, to support kiting, root rotting, soloing. Nice. Oh, that happens to me a lot too. I don't know how I do it, but I keep triggering different keyboards. So I have to like toggle it back to I think, yeah, it's Swedish keyboard, but I'm using English. Which the shortcut for that is, I learned, Shift Enter. I'm constantly hitting Shift Enter to try to fix my keyboard. Another example up here would be a rogue or bard lock picking a gate. Nice one. Spells or abilities that you can only do outdoors. Oh man, that was always such a fun discussion. It's like, druids or whomever feel left out. How do we make it so that outdoor ability will be of more value on this raid or in this dungeon? Giant Force were a lot of fun. For the camp, merchant camps maybe only have certain items they can buy or sell. Perk if there's an item only in that dungeon that has to be sold at the camp to keep the cities relevant. Interesting. So merchant camps only have certain items they can buy or sell. Perk if there is an item only in that dungeon that has to be sold. Oh, sorry, not only in that dungeon. In that dungeon that has to be sold only at that camp, or only in the nearby cities, to help keep the cities relevant. I think instead of copy and pasting though, typing actually helps me visualize it and remember it, and then also add in my own little quirky notes. I like the idea that certain merchants only want certain things at times to sort of force this behavior. But that's a whole nother big discussion that I guess we can get into. I also like the idea, I'm going to add this on here. Also, merchants may get full of wares and return to the cities. So then they're gone for a little bit. They had to go take all that shit they just gave them. I like the idea of having people show up with like pack mules, players, and grab stuff from you and then put it in the little trade bags that we were talking about, and then take it to the cities to sell for you. Winding mines or cave systems. That are not distinct zones or dungeons themselves. Yeah, we're fans of that as well. I think Nick probably just gave you 2 bonus points for that one. Unique forage items per zone. I really like that as well. Also, let's add in there unique. Oh my goodness, that's not my keyboard, that's just my inability to spell. Unique fishing spots. Unique fishing hollers. Hey Kuros, thank you for lurking and listening while you play games. Question about the camps thing. Should tagging and DPS racing for credit be the norm? would say that's a negative play experience now, and shared tagging is okay, but many would disagree. I'll let you guys argue in the chat. I mean, discuss in the chat. I mean, DPS racing. I like the simplicity of the old systems, to be real honest with you. Mysterious crop circles or other weird signs and symbols. Mysterious crop circles. Not cycles, circles, or other weird signs, symbolism. Who makes a great outdoor zone? Who's a good boy? Ali, is that a puppy? Is that a puppy statement? Are you? I think my puppy's, yeah, he's crashed out again. I was worried he's going to cry all day when Jasmine went to work, but because he couldn't hear her, he hates it when she's in another room, but he couldn't hear her once she left, and he wound up being pretty good today. Oh, quick Ziggy story while you guys have slowed down a little bit, slackers. So, you know, whatever, hopefully this isn't too inappropriate for you, but I think this is a mature channel, so you guys shouldn't be too hung up on that shit. So I realized I hadn't taken the puppy out for like a, you know, a little bit earlier because I was on my laptop doing some stuff today. I was like, oh man, I really gotta pee. So I don't want to take him out and wait for him to pee and like still have to pee. But I know it's risky if he's waking up, and I feel like it's time to take him out. So chance he's gonna pee. So rather than leave him downstairs, I took him up to the bathroom with me because the bathroom's on the second floor. So I take him up and I shut the door and I start peeing. And I in my brain, I knew this was probably going to happen. So he walks up to the toilet, looks at me, looks in the toilet while I'm peeing, immediately walks around behind me and is like not exactly beside me, but a little off and diagonal, and starts pissing on the bathroom floor while I'm peeing. And I was just like, I should have seen this one coming. But it was weird because it's kind of a bonding moment as well. It's like if you're out with, you know, some friends and you're having beers or whatever, and you have that moment where you both have to like whiz, and you're whizzing together. And it was just like me and my boy, my new puppy. I've only known him less than like 70, well, now it's 72 hours or so. And we're hanging out and we're just peeing. Except he is peeing on the floor. So good thing we have pee pads. So I just ran in the bedroom real quick and grabbed one and threw it down. And it worked out well. That was my puppy peeing story. Dude, he's such a funny puppy. I'll show you a picture in a bit. He's amazing. Tinkle Time Bros, exactly. That's what I'm gonna start calling it. Let's see. Random campfires, campsites that you can commandeer for benefits, cooking nodes, warm shelters, buff, etc. So, random campfires, campsites that you can commandeer for the benefits like cooking nodes, warm, sheltered buffs, buffs, etc. Nice. How about a fake wall where small race can get through and access more of the zone? Were you the one that also suggested the entire small dungeon last time? Fake wall for smalls to get through and access part of the zone. I like it. Personally would say outdoor zone should feel large and give you a lot to explore. No flying mounts. Large and in chart. Large and give you a lot to explore. Also, no flying mounts. To skip zone traveling. Cool. I like it. Capture all the tropes. So Solusec Oasis, Kithicor, Perma. Yeah, I mean, we love the biomes. That's one of the reasons why I love going zone based, because we can get ridiculous stuff if we want. We could have ice next to fire, swamp next to desert, and not do a bunch of transitioning. Just, you know, little dog leg and boom. Rare traveling bard. Okay, let me write this down. Rare traveling bard, maybe named Tyron, that cast random buff on those lucky enough to travel with them instead of crossing paths. What about you just get to hang out with a... What if that was fast travel? You run into a random bard that's just skipping down the street and you just gotta keep up with the bard. That works, right? Is that okay fast travel? You guys tell me. Leave your comments below. I've been watching way too much YouTube today. Actual traveling merchants that you can rob. Didn't Vanguard have it that you traveled, ran faster on pathways, made it safer if you stayed on a path? I honestly don't remember. Should I write that down as an idea? Neutral critters that aren't combat mobs to add flavor. Okay. Is there any way that you can hunt them though? Excuse me, that's horrible. But I made ramen. It'd be really interesting if there were actual interactable camps that players could take over and use. Giving classes like rangers the ability to plunk down a campsite. So, since we have the first part of that up there, let's say giving classes like rangers. Hey Phil! Hopefully my music didn't drown that out. Thank you so much. 9th month. Shanzi, thank you for the follow. Yeah, Phil. Very, very cool of you. Glad you're here. Give classes like rangers the ability to plunk down a campsite. Yep, yeah, we've been talking about camps and campsites and stuff. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's funny, I just pictured spending the night in Ultima like 4. A little camp, and then you can get ambushed. Rare mobs among your regular mob pools. Loved Queen Clicknick in Kanos Yard. Wish there was more of that throughout the world. Like in the bandit camps. And yeah, Ashall, it's crazy. There's so many spots for like so much more content. We just got into, you know, we've talked about this a lot, but we're so it's focused on expansions and driving forward. At what point we really wish that we would be able to get the team big enough to have like a live team doing a bunch of that type of stuff, and it never happened for us. But let's say more rare mobs among the regular mob pools. Example, Queen Click Nick in up. In Kanos, yeah, it's one of the, so that's one of those areas where we think by just being more focused on having simple tools that already allow us to do this, but really just going in and adding a lot of depth to those simple camps, just in data, it's the kind of content that we as a small team can afford to do and really want to focus on. So it's a great point. Let's see. Probably a given, but easily overlooked. Ambient background noise and things like insect, untargetable fireflies at night for immersion. Nice, Malkier. So, ambient background noise and things like insects, untargetable fireflies, at night for immersion. Yeah. Ambience. Ambience? I don't know. Give me a dragon I can ride and burn players with. Traveling bard like that would need to give speed buff. Yes. Yes, Jojo. That would be the trick. Cue howling noises and creatures in the Firat. I love that one that sounds like a cat. Rawr. Like the idea of NPCs with character class abilities you can tag along with on a port or follow along a song of that can affect but can't affect their pathing. Oh, I'm trying to think that one through. I just pictured like a pack of gazelles and you being in the middle of them. Help me understand that one better. Whoops. Convenient bounty. Oof. Bounty quests like Captain Wah on the gate in High Pass for Knoll Ears and Orc Scalps. Ah, I see what you're saying. Those types of quests. My brain was off in Randomville. I was like, bounty hunting quests to kill the captain with the... Oh, no, you're saying something completely different. Let's see. Love how you can say and rob the merchants. I was thinking of Fable as traveling merchants, so you can trade with them, but at the same time, they got from city to city moving goods. Oh. You know, I think there's a whole bunch there that we could actually play around with. So let me just write down as an example. Fables, traveling merchants. Because the whole traveling with a bard thing got me thinking about this as well. Travel fatigue. It's not something we've talked about yet. Camp to recover. Hunter seeker mobs like protectors of growth, which can aggro you. Oh yeah, weren't? No, I guess not. I thought there were some werewolves like that as well, but maybe that's my imagination. Little creepy assassins following you around and stuff too. I could see it. You should add female guards to the game, which EQ never had unless you count the female merchants. Really? That is a... None of them in plate. No, the city specific, like maybe Freeport. I could see where that happened, but interesting. Let me write it down. Well, we already have a female guard in our game. She just happens to look a lot like a male guard, capsule-wise, but Billy's had some female guards, dwarves. That's right. Some areas with large, more open negative spaces. which can make for good natural congregation points for GM or player run events. Well, I can't wait till we get on the events topic, world events topic, but that's not today. It's funny, I wasn't going to do this one today, but honestly, I started thinking about it. I was like, let's just do it. I wanted to give you more heads up, but man, you guys are already on fire again. Imagine a cat mob that hides in the bushes and hisses before it starts attacking. So I'm just going to put down what? And that is really a reference to interesting spawn mechanics for ambushy type mobs. How about that? NPCs, you're reading the part about the bard you would follow for fast travel. I was saying having NPCs in a game that feel like real people in the world doing what you're doing and occasionally let you tag along. Wizard group porting. Oh, you know what? I like it. I see what you're saying. And it's a really, I don't want to say obvious because it's not meant to sound like that at all, but it's an obvious extrapolation of the things that we would be doing for some of the other things, right? And it's funny because it immediately makes me think of the Caravan of Wizards in the very beginning of the Crystal Shard, right? Like caravans would have interesting people in them. So that's really cool. So how about let me summarize that as interesting and varied caravans and other natural NPC behavior in the world. NPCs that turn into werewolves at night. You know what? This zone behind us already has some. We have some interesting plans for that. We even have a fun new race that we'll be discussing with you guys for this area. NPCs that turn into werewolves at night. Extremely rare or fabled critters like unicorns. It's the last one. Oh man, I just thought of that movie and got sad. Oh. Or Sasquatch. Someone called Joe Rogan. Rare fishes. Camps with interesting or exotic merchants / travelers, which can have goods that are not necessarily native to the region. Nice. Fishing has got to be the worst thing in every MMO. Whatever makes that 100% better. You know what? Fishing is bad in a lot of MMOs, but it's still fun. Or not fun. It's still doable. It's still a thing. Just the idea of fishing, I think, is always fun. Like harvestable nodes like EQ2 did, we've been discussing that. So, harvestable nodes. Support for NPC zoning in zone-based games. Yes. Yeah. So, train to zone. We'd make, I think, maybe a logical break in the rules. It'd be one thing for an NPC, like a quest NPC, to pass from zone to zone. It'd be another thing. Like, trains will end at the zone line. Yeah, at some point we got that ability, I thought. I remember the first very, very hacky implementation, but I thought we added that later. So, NPCs, but only certain ones can zone from zone to zone. Harvesting in Vanguard was the best. Need multiple people to harvest properly was an interesting concept. So, Vanguard style harvesting involving multiple people. I honestly don't remember. Maybe you have a farmer or lost a pig or sheep that is super elusive that you need to catch. It's fast enough that most can't catch it. Yourself, and you have to coordinate with a group to head it off. Alright, so pigs, sheep, and other critters that you gotta wrangle in your wranglers. How about that? Alright, I'm actually caught up. Are you guys getting tired? Is that what happened? Hey, Tikan. Gathering and farming nodes. So we got harvestable nodes, and I'll put in here. We upgraded from Notepad to Google. How about that? Boom. No, I downloaded Notepad++. I did. I don't like it. I tried to try it out in night mode. They got fancy names for it. So maybe it was like I forget, it was like Obsidian mode, and it didn't seem very readable on screen. Maybe I'm full of shit. I put this in the dark mode because it seems like the brighter the notes are, the more likely it is my forehead's going to reflect the light and look like 1,000 suns just beaming at you, like washing out the entire camera with my forehead. So I was trying night mode, and then they had like delicious chocolate mode, and they had beige mode and all this other shit. And yeah, you're 34 and bald as well. No judgment from you. I will have you know I still have a few hairs left. Just starting. I've got like a 6 head and a spike. Oh, you said bald as hell? No, like bald as well. I'm like, oh man, I might as well start shaving it. I'm not tricking you. I got like 3 cartoon hairs in the front. I need to go get a haircut. It always looks a little janky. But I think I have to have like a, I don't know. The rules here are constantly changing. Anyways, Visual Studio community for world events stream note taking. Well. Just one big shared Google Doc, and we're just all on typing at once. That'd be a really fun cluster. Secret portals or various other types of teleport POIs. I like something with some cloud storage so I can use it on my phone if I think of it. So I use Google Keep for all my quick notes, and for currently I've got so many weeks in there now that it's kind of a pain in the ass. But I was also counting my I was updating my sort of weekly workout every time I change weight or reps or whatever. I was noting in there like weight increases. So I use Google Keep for a ton of shit. Safety spots are necessary too, like Tower 1, Tower 2, etc. and West Corona. Okay. Lifting is something you have knowledge on? Well, hell yeah. That's what happens when you get bald. You gotta lift. Safety spots are necessary. Like Tower 1, Tower 2, and West Corona. I was trying to think of the dude from Dungeon Siege movies, the Transporter, Jason Statham. That's a good example. That's a sexy man. Oh. He even rocks the stubble. He doesn't even go for the true shave. You know you're a sexy man when you can just have that little bit of stubble going on. Dude's juice to the gills though. That is not a natural body. Let's see. Roaming boss mobs just because. Exactly. And then we'll even add in that might kill the safety spots, like the guard in North Corona. Would frequently die of high level stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting dynamic. It's funny, like spending so much time in Oasis recently, having giants roaming around. It's really fun. It keeps you on your toes for what might otherwise, feel a little bland, but I think those mechanics do a lot for a game. They do add up. Let's see. Always love having a spot where you can get a good scenic vista in. If it's zoned with elevation. So, good scenic vistas and other views. Views are important. With or without elevation, views are important. A good blend of music and ambient nature sounds. It's funny, my capitalization looks a bit memey. Have we talked about named? Final Fantasy 11 did an amazing job with this. They were called Notorious Monsters and they had special abilities the regular versions of the mob didn't have. Imagine Lord Shin and EC had special attack you would do 1 and 2 times in the encounter that would cause it to be very dangerous. Alright, so let's say FX style Notorious Monsters. When you guys hear the word notorious, do you first think of B.I.G. or do you think of Conor McGregor or something else? Well, the funny thing is, if we put all the emphasis on sort of taking raid mechanics and abilities and things like that and push it down to the group level, then we can do some stuff like that. Duran Duran Notorious. Valkyrie, very nice. And they would always drop items that were very iconic. I think that will actually work very well with what we've been talking about, and definitely something I've been thinking about a lot the last like 3 or 4 days. BIG for show. Thought that before the prompt. Nice. Notorious. Yeah, well, that's where Biggie got it, right? Man, I love sampling music. I like when outdoor zones are reflective of their governing city. That's a good one. Outdoor zones that are reflective of their governing city. Like the Kano's guards, strong from Wouldn't it be dope if you're coming back from High Keep at some point and you notice all the guards have changed? You're like, what the hell happened? What just happened? Falcor suggested parkour. Falcor says parkour or jump spots are fun and lead to unusual perspective. Parkour or jump spots that are fun and lead to an unusual perspective. I mean, sometimes even just seeing from that angle is reward in and of itself, right? I know you're like, oh, let me take a screenshot. Physically imposing mobs at many levels, such as giant scarabs from Butcher, tarantulas from South Road that remind you how small you are in the world. Excuse me. Very nice, Hortus. I love the giant sound still in EQ. Oh man. The one thing with clique eyes is they have a lot of reverse sneezing, which the first time Ziggy did it back in the day, I immediately Googled and was so freaked out. I was like, is he dying? But there's just something way their throats are structured that they have reverse sneezing problems forever. And our little man is no different. You have to yell parkour or you instantly die though. Ambushes from rogues, thieves, bandits. Yeah, ambushes from rogues, thieves, and bandits. ETC. Ooh, what about they need more like factional backstory. A lot of these. It seems like that's a good place where you could get all sorts of like interesting lore and even have them vary. Like, why is it the bandit camp is always the same bandits? That's just my thought. I added that note. That's extra. All right. You guys. This is a hell of a start. Clear zone boundaries and zone lines. Some of it got weird in Kunark. I'll write it down. Clear zone. Let me stop with camel case. Zone boundaries and zone lines. Note. Some of it got weird in Kunark. I got the note. Orc boy. I'm not even going to try to emulate your sounds. Thank you for the raid. How are you doing? Yeah, that the warg. Dude, you go all out. I had you on I was just watching and I had like my earbud, but my headphones are down here, and my wife was in the office next door and I was watching you one day and you were doing your sound. And she like looked over and she was like, "What is that?" And so I had to have her come in and look and see you in your full glory making your warg sounds. Been working on some SK builds, anticipation for the Mischief server. Yeah, people are. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to hop in for sure, just because there's nothing better than those first low levels on a TLP. And if we're streaming, then hopefully people that are coming in that haven't played in a while or whatever, it's so easy to like recommend a TLP when it first comes out and just be like, guys, come in, enjoy the experience. Plus this little twist on it should be fun. TLP, so that is make sure I don't screw this up. Time limited progression. Is that correct? Time limited progression. Time limited progression server. Time locked. What? Okay. See, that's why I was like hesitant. Thank you so much. Yeah, so G.I. JoJo, basically it's, it releases the expansion over X period of time defined by the server. The different servers are different locked periods. But no matter what, this first month will be fantastic. My concern, and if any of the folks from the team are still in here, this is not a criticism, but just personal playstyle wise, it sounds like it's going to move pretty fast. So after that first month, it sounds like they go into Kunark. Am I wrong on that? But anyway, for me, I just love that classic experience and seeing a ton of players around. It's so nostalgic and wonderful. So we'll definitely be in there. 1 month classic, 2 months Kunark. I'll be honest, if they reverse that, I would be more fine with it. 2 months classic, 1 month Kunark. So yeah, but for that first month in classic, y'all, we're gonna be in there a good bit, just having a good time and looking at populated low-level zones and see how it goes. So you just bought a Daybreak sub for Mischief? Awesome. Hey, Wilcox. Okay, let me get back to writing damn notes down. And then we'll do a quick review. If you guys have tuckered out, then we'll go back and review the notes for the people that have just come back in. So let me go back up so I don't miss any of these. Last thing we had was ambushes and then clear zone boundaries. Hidden dong somewhere in there too. Gotta have it. You know what? I'm going to write it down because it's in chat, but I'm not sure what I think about that. That seems very much like a Disney movie cover. Had to disable our door security for a while. Perk of being the office IT person. I don't even want to know what's going on there. Do you happen to work at a pipeline somewhere? Interactive plant life, such as cactus damage. Oh, it's cactus damage. Damage or toxic effects. I like it. I like it a lot. Olives. Thank you for the follow. I like your name. Not just because you're my favorite drunk food. And I said drunk, not junk. Let's see. Sorry, just joined. Hey, Belfaster. I guess plant life is 2 words. My bad. When you use adding variation in height, sand dunes, when you want to control certain types of gameplay, has a big effect on kiting versus no kiting. Okay. Height variation to impact different gameplay types. Example, sand dunes and kiting. All right, now I'm scrolling back down again. You can see it here. Might be cool for mobs to do a siege on cities and increase spawns of mobs. Okay. Mobs, siege, cities, and similar. EQ had lots of dongs? Really? I think you guys just had a lot of dongs on your mind. I don't think there was ever an intentional EQ dong. Especially not in Fungus Grove. No. Yeah, you did. You guys are dong-minded. Why are we talking about dongs? What? Are you trying to gaslight me? That's a great guild name, Dong-minded. Don't bring it to our game. We'll have none of that shit. Especially not on the RP server. You have a lot being dropped off, the door getting locked all the time. Ah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Newbie logs and other ad hoc points of reference. Wonderful one. Good one. Great stuff, especially if we are very limited in how our map works. Why wouldn't we be? Exactly. Guild invite to Dong-minded, please. Is that going to be your TLP? No, I'm not going to encourage that behavior. If anybody from the team's still in here, you saw me not encourage Dong-minded, the guild, for mischief. I mean, the name of the server is Mischief. I would hope that you'd be okay with mischief. And if dongs are not mischievous, I don't know what are. Mob sieges are more city than outdoor things. But what would you consider this outdoor or city? Let me move this real quick. Oops, I'm in the wrong. Well, I should have had this down as like a thematic backdrop. Had I planned ahead. Excuse me. Whoa. If I had actually thought of that in advance, it'd be pretty tight. Oh, but now you can't see all of this. All right. So TCon, we've talked about maps, but in a way where it's a map where you actually have to read the map, but you can't like see yourself and other stuff on it. It's very simple. It's like a map. So you would have to actually look at points of interest that are in front of you and sort of do your own sort of land nav. So Fog of War on maps until you open it, or special vendors who sell maps. Maybe on the vendor maps they mark and trigger a rare mob that you can hunt. We talked about treasure hunts. We talked about triggered mobs. So as much as I said, let me do this. Let me try the trick. Just, this is practice for me. Boom. I had to practice the new shortcut. Fog of War on maps until you can open them. Open it, or special vendors who sell maps. Maybe on the vendor maps they mark and trigger a rare mob that you can hunt. Nice. Some of these ideas sound COE inspired. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Non-traditional outdoor zones like Ocean of Tears, Plain of Fear, etc. Ocean of Tears, Plain of Fear. City siege. It's funny because now I'm thinking of like the giant camps and other stuff that we. Zone escapes me, but there are some later EQ zones that had invis, surprise mobs next to giant rocks, golems or geonids or something. Newer gameplay, yeah. So, I mentioned interesting spawning up above. Here we go. Then we'll do that as well. Let's see. Cool. Isn't that handy? So it's funny. When we redid Chardock, I put some skeleton piles in and had them triggered as well, just because I thought it would be fun, like little trap men. Ask a guard where you are and they give you the wrong directions depending on faction. Ask. Action sucks. COE, not bad ideas, just don't do us dirty and we're good. Yeah, and we'll try not to completely overpromise or anything like that as well. Or do that as part of taking a bunch of money from you and then maybe not delivering anything. I watch so many videos on some of those more infamous games. It's so crazy. It's just pure inspiration to not bullshit around and actually produce something playable for you guys. The gray. Those trap things all over Luckland were so annoying. Okay, Popsicle. We'll have to watch. Yeah, was that where that was happening? The gray? The Geonid things? Yep, you're right. Okay, so we have one downvote on that. Uh-oh. Another outdoor zone thing, having a variety of mobs, some of which are dangerous, other are harmless, and learning which are which. Having to learn the mob difficulty. Due to the variety of mobs. Man, I've really loved the RuneScape playlist. Oh, yeah, it's funny. I say RuneScape and my dog's like, because his name's Rune. You want to see a picture of my dog? My new puppy? Here, let me show you. He's very small. That stuffed animal is not big. He's tiny. He's just a tiny version of... Look at that precious floof. He's a tiny version of a husky, basically. Oh man, fuzzball. Oh, love him. Let's see. Comment was less of an idea comment than something that could have been funny happened to scare people. Which one? Which one? Oh, you were talking about the spawning mechanism? You said something in a previous stream that makes sense with this topic. Having running messenger in an outdoor zone that's tied to the lore of a named mob in dungeon somewhere. Somewhere to be obtained without going to the spot. Oh, yeah. That was a brilliant idea I had. So NPCs. But then I was saying things. I think one example I had was like but even having the ability to occasionally run into weird things like you know, running into the assassin and getting the mask somewhere else just based off the fact that, ooh, what if the assassin had mini masks? Depending on where you found them, there's like ultra rares and you could actually get a couple different mask types depending on where you saw them. Yeah, so like you got Ghoul Assassin example. I think I gave that one before. And Ghoul Assassin Emissary. Or whatever. Cool. Can't explain how much I love and hate this idea. That's funny. Comment was idea having to scare people. The guard thing would be cool, less faction based, more you're standing with the city. You steal from the city or attacked, you more likely to get wrong directions. We want to do a lot with factions, so maybe we'll have that as a topic on a separate stream, but we have already got a number of ideas. Nick had a thing even, we're going to play with it where I think it's going to be a great sort of intro to just the idea that you will be constantly learning about the world, but like guards you'll see as a guard until you interact with them or someone that tells you about them, and then you'll learn their specific names. Things like that. So we'll play around with some of those ideas and see how they work out. Have we done cities being taken over and having to come through an event that's different dynamic that could be based off the average level that's online the moment you're in an area maybe? So help me break that one down. Cities being taken over we discussed. Having to overcome them through an event. Well, I don't know. Have we mentioned this? It's come up a bunch in the past, but I feel like you're kind of getting at areas being taken over or changing that then have to be resolved via an event. We'll put that in there. I feel like outdoor zones having NPCs going about their daily activities, farmers, whatever the location was. So we may have hit that above, but I'll write it down again. Basically, natural NPC behavior Telling the story of the area, farmers, etc. Ticon said, so glad you got them. You weren't getting your hopes up because you weren't sure actually going to get them. Super stoked for you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was, I was a bit nervous. Super amped when he arrived. And I'm glad he's cool so far. He's very different from Ziggy though. Man. He's an escape artist already. He's already trying to figure out how to climb shit, and yeah. It's a good thing that we're studying a lot on how to like correct behavior the right way. The little bit that we're doing is already helpful, and it's only been a couple days. I'm gonna put in daily activities. Hey, Etris. Let's see. Spawn trap things can be fun if the environment supported them, such as walking into an ambush spot or walking through a dark area without a light. Yeah, I think so as well. I was sort of picking on you a second ago. Visibility shouldn't be unrealistically obstructed like the Kunark forests. You can't do realistic good foliage that doesn't block your whole monitor. Maybe don't do it. We're trying to keep things pretty simple. I think our approach will be very much additive from a fairly simple start point, and then we'll see what we need. It may look too janky and old school the way I have it pictured, but we'll start there. So let me just put in your note though. Visibility shouldn't be unrealistically obstructed like the Kunark forests. Each village, city, tavern should have a band that plays music. You can choose for tip. Each village has city, tavern. We'll have to do it on a separate one, but have some ideas for taverns and inns and things that might be janky designer think, or maybe it'll make them cool, but I'll add that to the list as well. So we were thinking about a number of different ideas to maybe switch up the dynamics for doing LFG, and I really like the idea of taverns and inns feeling more social. Winches, what is with you guys tonight? Dongs, winches, you guys are out of control. It's Monday, not Friday. Basically mob domination of the world. I think it would be amazing, even stopping players from creating tunes there. Ooh, that'd be a bit harsh. It would be cool for there to be unique bosses, random changes to the model with different stats and abilities. So, unique bosses, and you said random changes to the model with different stats and abilities. Day, night cycles could be neat. Oh yeah. This one we definitely have. Thank you, Move Free. Yep, we're definitely talking about that one. To G.I. JoJo's point though, no, actually it was Ticon. So you know what? I'm gonna write that down actually. So mob dominating certain zones even to the point of players not being able to start there. We'll put it on the list. The game is tuned right. I agree, encounters being unpredictable probably isn't such a good idea. Regarding surprise mobs, that's basically getting trained to aggro stuff through walls. Or ads from bad pathing. Would disagree. If done in certain areas could be fun, like walking through woods, having a wolf come charging at you would be a way to keep the game less boring. But we hit on that a little bit with sort of the zone-wide aggro. But if we would want to do it sparingly in a very specific way, I think. Obvious outdoor experience spots with chances of desirable items independent of names. Examples are Forest Giant Fort in the Frontier Mountains or Rygar Orcs, Eastern Waste. I believe Eastern Waste. Alright, so that's a good point. So, obvious outdoor experience spots with chances for desirable items. Examples: Forest Giant Fort in Mountains, Frontier Mountains. Why is he crying? Does he want to come over here? All right. I was about to say, taverns should be worthwhile gathering points. So, while we got you here, one simple thing that I was thinking, was, like a global LF, either basically LFG related chat and or tools would work in those specific areas. So you'd be in any tavern or any inn, but not outside of it. Which might just be too artificial feeling, but for some reason I think that's like a seed of a idea of a starting point of trying to create some friction in those areas. Though I was watching someone work at a burger place in GTA Online earlier today and mentioned to Bunny that it'd be funny that if you could somehow unlock being able to be the person running, like the bartender at a tavern or an inn, and you could get points by actually helping people make groups. It seems like. Were you watching someone play a video game pretending to be a burger flipper? Yes. Wait. Did you say that before I said it? And if you did, how? I was watching someone do that earlier, and it was like, I could imagine someone just being the bartender type, and like, being the one that's basically checking like OC or checking the LFG, because there's always like that. There's that phenomenon in every zone. It seemed like you could sit in any zone in original EQ, and you would see like, you know, it'd be like level 54 wizard looking for a group, level 54 cleric looking for a group, level 54 warrior looking for a group, level 54 druid looking for a group, level 50, and you're like, guys, you realize you're a group, right? Well, I'm looking for a group. It just, you'd just see full groups spamming like the zone. You're like, all right, so what you're waiting for is someone to just be the person that goes, all right, T-Con, I've got a group for you. So I'm going to get you an invite from J Popper and Moofree and G.I. Jojo. You're a group now. All right. Give me a 5-star rating. Thank you. Oh, you asked it. That wasn't a question. You were actually asking me if I was watching someone play a video game pretending to be a butterfly. Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. All right. I feel like games need to further incentivize being the leader. Adric, yeah. I think there's something to rewarding leaders. You want to be the most tavern? Is there Seymour Butts looking for group? Seymour Butts? Oh man, I just heard Bart's voice. Sand Giants and Spectres and Oasis, Griffin's Commons were really memorable for people playing EQ. The thought crossing my mind is, why would all mobs congregate in an area just be the same? Just because it's good design for players grind? Yeah. I don't know. Like it's weird. It seems like we took all these inconvenient things like having zone sweepers come through and just murk you and got rid of them as quality of life changes and lost a lot over the years. Am I a fan of leadership in these games? Like group experience levels, abilities, raid leader? I don't, so it's weird because I tend to shy away from over systematizing things, right? Creating like whole new lines of progression, but there's got to be something. There's got to be something there that's not over designed. And I've got to admit, the more I look at like the GTA Online concept, and especially people are really getting into it and enjoying watching it. I do think that voice over IP is not appropriate for the normal, just the bulk of the game, the average game. But I do think maybe with the right sort of system and management and you know, using the right third-party VoIP software that's worked out the kinks and shit like that. I could see that for an RP server. I could definitely see a roleplay server that we play around with that concept. Would be cool for us to have hooks for Discord. Yeah. I believe it is on our radar. Not having to deal with a dumb leader is enough reward to lead raids groups for you. Yeah. That is often, it's one of those things where it's I'd rather be a leader than have to deal with bad leaders. So yeah, I feel you. I think there's a difference between being a good leader and being a pain in the ass alpha nerd, but well, it's a whole nother topic. We're straying away from the topic. Hey Litany. All right, so we feel like we're pretty tapped out here. It's 10 o'clock now. We started about 15 after 8 my time. Should I read through everything for people that weren't here earlier? Maybe put in some more line breaks so that you can actually read this. And going back to your last question, how do you add some of these features without making them feel like redundant features? You mean like bigger features, systems, or the stuff that we're talking about here? I'm assuming systems. Had to step away for an hour. You'd like a recap? I think it's about recap time. I'm also flying insect time. Let me get a fisherman's friend because my mouth is drying up. So I'm gonna suck on this for a second and then chew it right into the mic, and then we'll review. Zoidberg, honestly, I don't have a perfect answer for that. I think it just comes down to being very, very conscious of it and always challenging the design and just going, hey, are we overcomplicating this? Part of my role, I guess, traditionally is that of the fun police on the team. Excuse me, because I'm often not a fun person, because I will have to then come back in and be like, I think we're over designing this, or it is overbearing. But then on the flip side, when it's my idea and I'm like, oh, wouldn't this be exciting? It's nice to have other people like Nick and, you know, Ollie and Bunny and folks and come in and be like, you know, individually, hey, we're either away from sort of the core of the nostalgic essence that we're shooting for. Nick's good about that one. Or hey, that's a little too weird or whatever. So it's nice to have those opposing views. It's funny when people talk about, like, you know, diversity and design teams in the industry and stuff like that. It's having people with different, you know, sort of individual experiences and lines of thinking. That's the big deal. It's like having I have no idea what's going on with the dog out there. I just saw Jasmine jump up. You know, having different gameplay experience, or just having people with a willingness to be like, hey, didn't we say this and now we're kind of doing that? What the fuck? So, sound like you? That's a good thing then. Just adding a core feature or two to the framework of the game that already exists could really change a lot. So it wouldn't be like, wouldn't look at it as all of this has to go in. Oh, you mean these lists and stuff? Oh, for sure. Trust me. We've got like multiple games worth of suggestions on both of the lists. But what it's nice is looking here and just sort of seeing the stuff that fits with what we've been discussing. I think Joppa was in for the last one that we did, and we were talking about it. And what was his comment? But it was a nice, concise way of sort of hitting it. Some of the stuff on the list is really, I think it sort of reaffirms that we're on the right track in some of our thinking, and then some of it's like, oh shit, didn't think of that. So. All right, so I think my fisherman's friend has done the job. Let's review. List review. A lot of those can really be combined or is repeated, which is fine. With this exercise, I like writing all of it down, or as much of it as possible. Okay. Ooh, that burned. Menthol. A sense of scale and grandeur. Starting from the top, what makes a great outdoor zone? A sense of scale and grandeur, lots of mob traffic and intersecting pathing points, intermingled mob types, hidden cultural items that make sense and point to whatever is dominating that area at the moment or was. Interesting segments, e.g., the different areas of Wrath Mountains or Steam Font. I get it now. I didn't get it when I wrote it down. It's like the little mini areas within a zone. And I mean, it's not just a point of interest. It's like a nice subdivision, like sub-themes within a zone. I'll add that right up here. Since I'm in the middle of the list, Zoidberg is a good one. NPCs interacting without your intervention. It's one that we've been commenting on this one a good bit while playing recently, and it didn't make the list. So good call, Zoidberg. Mobs that leverage the usefulness of tracking. A sense of conflict at the transition between areas. Example, how High Pass had gnolls on the Kanos end and orcs on the Freeport end. Skilled kiting opportunities. A good outdoor zone includes lots of dog enrichment items. Intentionally challenging, dangerous to traverse or linger in. Outposts, merchants, NPC camps, and something giant and menacing. Having goblins run into orcs and they're fighting each other would be fun to watch. We like that kind of stuff. Let's see. Large tract of farmland, bandit camps, and mountains in West Karana. Lore justifies the mob population. Areas with a big lore influence. Oh no, dog enrichment items made the list. You put it out there, it's going on the list. Was that you? I thought, for some reason, I thought that was Ollie. Zones that are heavy on a certain mob type, having drops or quests that help against that mob type, like Bane, weapons, etc. It just got added to the list, Nils. A mix of lower and higher level mobs in the same zone, zones that aren't obviously only for a specific level range. The Wrath/Steam fonts to me sounds like a biome connection system. That was one where I was like, could you clarify that, please? Environmental. How the hell did I pull that one off? Obstacles like water, lava, or mountains that alter how you travel through the zone. That's a good idea. It's like built-in achievement, like works there or something, but more functional. Oh, the Bane stuff. What's up, Brex? The atmosphere. Badass dungeon. How about blood demons trying to summon a god in a pit at the bottom of a dungeon? The zone spawns ghouls, zombies, and players go through a zone. When you reach the main chamber and engage the demons, the pathways are sealed behind you, initiating a blood demon event, which of course spawns more zombies. And if they reach the altar, the god is spawned, and when the god is spawned, it wreaks havoc on the world and generates newbie garden areas naturally. Well, that's pretty elaborate. The atmosphere. I'm not typing the rest of that in there at the moment, but I will forever remember the blood demons summoning the blood god Brex and then changing the world. High level, yeah, and then you know the announcement when you kill like a god or whatever in EQ, it'll be like the following group just here. I'm gonna put this down here since I learned this command. Boom. Copy paste. Got it. The guys that triggered the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, their names get announced. These guys just summon the blood god. Sorry, they destroyed the world. High level / KOS zone sweepers. Tunnel of Row made EC a good zone. Natural congestion spots. Speaking of which, like the idea of no rent summon Bane items. Should I put that in this list? No rent summoned Bane items. Hey Frank. Natural congestion spots. Explicit points of interest. Seeing a big house on a hill, a large statue in the distance. Bodies of water. So many great zones always had a lake or river or ran along the ocean. Maze EQ. Thank you for the 9 months. Can you lose your corpse yet? Almost. Almost. We actually did get on and have a little bit. I was watching folks play on our server over the weekend, and I popped in for a little bit as well. So we're getting closer. Saw Nick write up a bunch of bugs. Incremental changes to power where dopamine hits in a right way. Surnames, titles, particle effect enhancements as you leveled. Yeah, those little things do add up. Hey, Bricks. Hey, Bunny. Love tiered outdoor servers? Don't think of Tower of Frozen Shadow, but outside with different islands. Yeah, okay. EQ had one eventually in the later expansion with level 20 to 30. So let me put it in here, wherever I'm at. Tiered outdoor zones. Roads for beginners to find their way around, but not necessarily at the most optimal speed. Oceans with mysterious islands. Especially great if you have working boats. Landmarks are very important for people to learn to navigate the zone without a map. Distinctive camps of different levels and distinct biome type feel. Some wandering mobs. Let's see. Random spawn spots for those special names. Confusing geography and lack of light at night, making tools like sense corpse, sense heading, true north, summon light stones, etc. useful. Interesting ground spawns. I like the staff of the wheel spoke. Under the frozen river and Everfrost. Elevation changes. Fog draw distances, places to fall off, etc. Day, night, and seasonal, plus other population changes. Off to change baby diapers. Enjoy Zoidberg. It's funny, the lady we got Rune from, prior to him getting here, she was like, he uses dog diaper. And so we were like trying to figure out what she meant by dog diaper. And we looked him up and we're like, that's kind of weird. And so when she checked on him, because she's in Moscow, she checked on him once he got here. She was like, do you have dog diapers? I'm like, we couldn't find any. And so she sent a picture of it, and it's a pee pad. And I was like, oh, that's a pee pad. And I sent her a picture of dogs and diapers, and she was like, she just made like a sad emoji. She was like, Google Translate. Oh man. So funny. Speaking of, let me do a quick pause. We are currently working on transcribing the Project N website into German and Spanish. Sounds like Spanish is going to be done before German. I'll have to poke Jasmine for that. But so we're going to have the site in English, Spanish, German. If anybody speaks Russian, Polish, well, honestly, any cool language, and you're interested in potentially transcribing the site for us, let me know. Hit me up on Discord. In the meantime, we'll be looking into other options for that. But I'm very curious if we just transcribe the base website. I'd be curious to see how that affects. I do a lot of just watching like our SEO and stuff like that in the background to see who's finding the site and things like that. So figured it'd be an interesting way to get a feel for kind of who's potentially interested, where we may have an audience for our niche. Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese would be great as well. I'm going to follow up with somebody on that. Oh, in Arabic. So apparently a lot of Russians in hot tubs on Twitch. You can go ask. Well, if they're in hot tubs on Twitch, we may be able to find a relatively cost-effective transcription service then. Can't help you, but if you do French, German, and Spanish, then Italian is the other biggie. We had a lot of Italians in our guild who would play our tunes, continue to level our tunes when we were asleep. So that's a good point. All right, back to the list. For Wild Star of Eyes from that Spoke Quest was the most underrated clicky item. I'm totally unfamiliar with it, to be honest with you. I've got such a bad memory, I guess. So, longer day-night cycle to allow you to camp night-only mobs for several days. Kethicor felt too short for a proper camp. Excuse me. Low-level side and a high-level side, which changes based on some criteria. Example, day-night. Interesting skyboxes, lighting, fog settings, and weather effects. Sky islands such as tree towns, mountain peaks connected by bridges, or literal levitating islands above part of a zone. True darkness with modern lighting. A place you can visit or sell or buy goods. Structural pieces that align with the sun/moons at a particular time or maybe trigger some event. Triggered world events like the Great Divide. Hit me up on Discord if you need anything translated into the language of love. Right on, Brax. PvP bases and objectives. Greek. You think there's going to be a big Greek player base? Guild faction / quest nodes, trainers, and unlikely places like the Ranger Guild in Kithikor. There may be, you never know. Merchant camps near dungeons or other places that adventurers would congregate and have loot they needed to sell, supplies they needed to buy. Area bosses that give a bonus to mobs nearby when killed. And I'll put in /penalty. In-game drunk races and sketchy places. Northwestern US rainforest type climate where it rains most of the time, and on rare occasion when it stops raining some high value mob appears. Rain could go away either via RNG or be triggered by a druid clearing the weather via some expensive consumable. Oof. Just realized though, many browsers have auto-translate features. So it may not be worth trying to translate into every language ever when that's a thing, especially if the game isn't going to be in that language. Yeah, I don't trust auto-translates for now. So it's always nice to see if someone can actually localize in a way that's also, they actually get the nuance. And we're just going to do it as a small test. And see what happens, and if nothing happens, then that's kind of good to know. I think one of the other reasons too is we actually got a decent amount of attention on the website from Polish MMORPG folks that just some random article was written about us. I think based off of maybe like the Massively OP original sort of article that went up. But it got posted on this Polish MMORPG site, which I wasn't aware of until I tracked the traffic back to it and was like, oh, that's cool. But I think there's something to be said about like taking the time to actually try to do some base support for different regions or countries. It's definitely a good way to get some attention. So clearly defined camping spots like Orc Camp 1 and 2 in the Commons or Orc Highway and Row. Outdoor dungeons like Aviax, KFC. giant forts, etc. Paths that are only accessible with correct party members or abilities, like a shortcut that requires levitate, or a rogue or bard to pick a lock on a gate. Let me mark my place here and see what you're saying in chat. They're about to have a Polish MMORPG go into closed beta. I got an article about it, so they had a recent spike in interest. Broken ranks. Oh, that's good to know. Belfaster, are you from the region, or you just follow the region, or you just happen to notice that game? Backward trade seal quest, where you bring pieces to combine in a dungeon instead of taking pieces of dungeon. We've got that one in the dungeon list. Google sent it across in Texas. Fair enough. By the way, I don't know how popular MMOs are in Greece, but anytime I hear EU people talk about WoW guilds, Greeks come up. Fair enough point, bunny. I was not being sarcastic when I asked. Nianti? Or is it Nianti? I always mess it up. Anyways, she mentioned place for different play styles in outdoor zones, setting up NPCs that support kiting, route riding, soloing. Spells or abilities that you can only do outdoors. Merchant camps only have certain items they can buy or sell. Perk if there is an item in that dungeon that has to be sold only at that camp or in the nearby cities to help keep the cities relevant. Also, merchants may get full of wares and return to cities. Winding mines or cave systems that are not distinct zones or dungeons themselves. There's a lot of that, like starting in Kunark, right? Unique forage items per zone, unique fishing spots, mysterious crop circles and other weird signs, symbolism, random campfires / campsites that you can commandeer for the benefits like cooking nodes, warm / sheltered buffs, etc. Fake wall for smalls to get through and access part of the zone. Another translation suggestion, especially for in-game stuff. The guy behind the game started a company, created localizer.com, where devs can crowdsource languages for their games. Dev gets to choose a final successful translation. I will open this link in a new tab. Maybe not. Copy link. Cool. Got it. Large and give you a lot to explore. Also, no flying mounts to skip traveling. Capture all the tropes. Solusec Oasis, Kithcore, Permafrost. Absolutely. Rare traveling bard. Maybe named Huron, that casts random buff on those lucky enough to travel with them. That led to the discussion of, well, if you're in range of their song, then you get the benefit, right? Actual traveling merchants, neutral critters that aren't combat mobs to add flavor, like bunnies. Giving classes to rangers, like rangers, the ability to plunk down a campsite. More rare mobs along, geez, I can't read. It's only 10:30. More rare mobs among the regular mob pools. Example, Queen Clicknick and Kanos, adding more to bandit camps, etc. That's funny, kind of like the EQ boat on land. Kinda. At any point you can just stop and the bar just keeps going. I want to do river boats. I'd like to have a nice river that takes you through a continent and you can hop on that boat. People are good. Look at all the ideas. Not going to say I run out of ideas though. Not trying to reinvent the wheel, but look at how many RPGs have similar things going on in them. Collectible trading card game that's a mini game in a game. The waiting game that is EQ dailies, or even the Overseer then. Mini games that don't matter to the main game like gyms. Sure there's going to be a time where stuff falls in place like that. Yes. And at some point soon, we're going to do a number of these on different topics. So I think we'll probably have a systems one in the not too distant future. Functioning rivers would be amazing, but I haven't heard. But I've heard they are very hard to code well. That might be the case. So that's why I try not to promise anything. Ollie might get mad at me. Ambient background noise and things like insects, untargetable fireflies at night for immersion. Ambient ambience. Convenient bounty quests like Captain on the Gate and High Pass for Knoll Ears and Orc Scalps. Be sure to reference Fable's Traveling Merchants. Travel fatigue, having to camp to recover. Hunter-seeker mobs that can stalk you on Zone In. Female guards, because there weren't a lot of female guards in EQ. Junglebird, Nightcrow. Rawr. Those sounds are so good. Some areas with large, more open negative spaces, which can make for good natural, not congratulations, points for GM. How about congregation? Points for GM or player run events. Imagine a cat mob that hides in the bushes and hisses before attacking, i.e. interesting spawn mechanics for ambushy type mobs. Also, look at the Geonids and Golems we mentioned in the deep. Interesting and varied caravans and other natural NPC behavior in the world. And I mentioned the example. The Wizard's Caravan. NPCs that turn into werewolves at night. Extremely rare fabled creatures like unicorns, Leviathan, Sasquatch. Rare fishies. Camps with interesting or exotic merchants / travelers, which can have goods that are not necessarily native to the region. Harvestable nodes like EQ2, gathering and farming nodes, NPCs, but only certain ones can travel from zone to zone, thus facilitating caravans and bards. Vanguard style harvesting involving multiple people. We'll have to look it up. Pigs, sheep, and other critters that you gotta wrangle. Teleport stones, secret portals, or various other types of teleport POIs. Safety spots are necessary, like Tower 1, 2, and West Karana. Roaming boss mobs, just because. That might kill the safety spots. Like the guard at North Karana would frequently die if high-level stuff came by. There's been so many quality of life changes to games since EQ that I think the real challenge designing a modern game would be to differentiate between quality of life and difficulty time investment. It's got to be hard to do that well for an experienced developer, almost impossible for your average player. Just glad you guys are trying because we definitely need it. I think it's something that's just worth trying at this point, right? It's absolutely going to be hard, but it's even if we don't get it right, I think it's got to be tried. I think there aren't enough sort of it's too risky to make attempts that might fail. I think that's why we see certain shit that you may like. Folks may look at some things that we do that will just not work for the majority of people and go, well, we could have told you that wasn't going to work. But I think that's kind of the point, is we've got to be willing to do some things that won't work for the majority of the people. Otherwise, we just can't do them. I don't know if that's going to make sense, but it makes sense in my head at 10:38 p.m. Right? It's like, oh, why would you do that? That's obviously less, it's not as good as the thing that's been done since then and iterated on. But it's like, yeah, but if we don't go back and do it in that way, that's not good. We're just not going to be able to maintain the feel that we want to have. You know what I mean? If you don't worry. We'll be talking about it more. Good scenic vistas and other views. I mean, I don't blame other companies at all for not attempting some of the stuff that we're going to attempt, just because they, you know, they have to mitigate as much risk as possible based on the investment that they're making and the sort of expectation of return that they've kind of committed to at the beginning. A good blend of music and ambient nature sounds. Final Fantasy 11 style notorious monsters with special abilities and regular version of the mobs that don't have that regular versions of the mobs didn't have. Example, Lord Shin and EC had a special attack that he would do 1 or 2 times in encounter. They would always drop items that are very iconic. So basically like little mini bosses with more flavor. Nils, I would say another point to that is you can't blame any company for not wanting to shoot really big. It's like, I'm very curious. I know some folks, like, we've never really discussed their company here. It's not a name that I think is known to many of you. I happen to know of them because I know the people in the company and LinkedIn. So I'm very curious to see what they announce. But they've got an extremely talented team. They've got a very experienced team. So I'm thinking they're working on an MMO. A lot of the people I know from the team, I know from MMOs. So I'm very curious to see what they announce. Hopefully soon. But when I look at that, again, you know, I look at everything that's sort of out there being worked on or whatever. There's always that concern about, you know, like, oh man, it'd be a bummer if someone made like exactly the thing that we're working on or whatever, and they've got more resources or whatever. That's always a concern when you're making something like this, especially when you're being as open as us about what we're doing. But then when I look at like, you know, all right, but this team's already like 20 people or 30 people or 50 people. As I look at different teams, I'm like, I don't know that they can afford to sort of shoot for where we're shooting for, because I'm assuming there's already, you know, they're already sort of considering maybe the need for a bigger return. I don't know. Babbling. Am I talking about Mutant Arm? I am talking about Mutant Arm. T-Con, how did you know? There are some really, really stellar folks on that team. So I'm very curious. I gotta say, as much as the DC Universe Online development experience almost killed me, I gotta say, looking back and being objective, I always liked Blakely. He was the studio head. Blakely always seemed like a good guy, and then he's got some really talented people there. So, good people. They haven't announced anything yet. Nope, not at all. I'm very curious. The mod community has a buzz talking about what you're up to. I was being a fly on the wall. Some EQ streams, saw some people talking about you and Level Up Larry stream. Oh, well, that's always nice. Thanks, Brex. Do you guys worry about P99 already fills a niche you're already targeting? Seems like primary competition is a free game. No, not really. Because I think if we're looking at just limiting ourselves just to the P99 audience, then it wouldn't make any sense. But we are looking at making a new game. There will be new systems. It is distinct in where it overlaps in terms of maybe some of the core loop and some of the gameplay. We're hoping to take that a bit further, definitely put our own tweaks on it, build out an entirely new world, have a lot of depth and lore and sort of utilization of things like faction, etc., that just don't exist within P99. So I would say, if a game, you know, if playing P99 is appealing, then I would hope that it would, our game would be something that folks would want to try out as well. But I don't necessarily see it as, oh, if we don't win over all the P99 folks, then we don't have a market. if that makes sense. I mean, we play on P99 for a reason. We enjoy it. If you add parkour, I want the option to have my character yell parkour every time I jump, especially if it's a dwarf. What if we give you the ability to make that macro? Outdoor zones that are reflective of their governing city, like the Kanos guards strung from Kanos High Keep. It's little things like this that really... There's so much good stuff in here when we do these. It's fantastic. Thank you again. He said in his robot voice. Parkour or jump spots. I see what you're... that are fun and lead to unusual perspectives. Physically imposing mobs at many levels, such as the giant scarabs and butcher or tarantulas in South Row, to remind you of how small you are. Ambushes from rogues, thieves, and bandits, etc. Lots of factional variation and lore including in these. Yeah, there's so many opportunities to do a little bit more with some of that stuff. A bandit. Well, but who is that bandit really? Clear zone boundaries and zone lines. Some of it got weird in Kunark. Hidden dongs somewhere in there. Yeah, there was some discussion of hidden dongs. Interactive plant life such as cactus damage or toxic effects. Maybe we can make some of the cacti look like dongs. Height variation to impact different gameplay types. Example, sand dunes and kitings. Mobs siege cities and similar newbie logs and other new line. Newbie logs and other ad hoc points of reference. Fog of War on maps until you open it. Special vendors who sell maps. Maybe on the vendor maps they mark and trigger a rare mob that you hunt. Non-traditional outdoor zones like Ocean of Tears, Plain of Fear, etc. City or outdoor dungeons. POI/camp sieges. What do you mean what? I have the feeling you said what when I said dong. You say what? Tyrant City having roadside cages, crosses with criminals on it, them reflecting the ruling nearby city like Kanos guards would be cool too. Oh, I'm trying to think of a more charming, less brutal example, but yeah, so let me go back up to where that was. Also in sketchy form. Example, criminals in cages. Where were we at? Okay, city or outdoor dungeon. POI/camp sieges. Ask a guard where you are and they give you the wrong directions if your faction sucks. Having to learn the mob's difficulty due to the variety of mobs. NPCs like messengers or runners tied to the lore of dungeons. Ghoul assassin and ghoul assassin emissary or whatever. Not me, Tikon. Areas being taken over or changing that then have to be resolved via an event. Natural NPC behavior / daily activities telling the story of the area, farmers, etc. Visibility shouldn't be unrealistically obstructed, like Kunark forests. Each village / city tavern should have a band that plays music you choose for a tip. Unique bosses, random changes to the model with different stats and abilities, mob dominating certain zones even to the point of players not being able to start there. Obvious outdoor spots with changes for desirable items. Sorry. Spots with... Huh? Why did I write that so weird? Chances, not changes, chances. Now it's totally not weird. Alright, so... when the bell tolls, it is considered a dong. Sometimes, perhaps even a ding. Depends on the bell. I think tie-ins with larger factions can make the outdoor zones feel more alive. Really could add some depth to the zones that are traditionally void of depth. So I know this is a duplicate, but why not? If you don't mind taking him out, otherwise I'm probably going to be done here in the not too distant future. If he's sleeping, I'll grab him. All right, and let's see where we're at. Since we're almost done here, it is 10 minutes to 11. So Pantheon announced they're showing levels of mobs if they're within 5 levels up and down of you. I'm honestly upset about that. I really enjoyed and was impressed when people knew how tough mobs were. I can see that. T-Con, people just have it up in their smartphone and know the level ranges anyways. Not a huge feat. But if they know it anyways, then maybe you don't need to show it in game. I think there's subtle things like that. And I'm not trying to pick on their design or whatever, but I spend a lot of time just thinking about the impact of the exclusion of information. It's subtle. I find that I drive better when I don't have someone telling me directions. That kind of thing. Oh, okay. Well, I think we've reviewed everything now. It's 10 minutes till 11 anyway. I've got a little puppy that just popped awake and will need to go pee. And this was another badass talk. I'm so glad I did this. Would you mind doing another one of these on a different topic sometime this week? Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe Wednesday? Thank you, Droop. You love these? Right on. So I tell you what, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but we'll do another one of these before the week is out. How about that? And on that note, I am going to get ready to grab the pup and take him out real quick. Thank you for sorry for the abrupt ending, but again, thank you so much for the participation. And I'm going to pour over these notes. Those of you that are new here, I don't know how many that could possibly be, but here's our Discord. The website just got posted by the bots. And if you like development talks, check out our VODs. About 40 hours of discussions with the EQ folks. Want to share a doc with you? I absolutely will. Good call. I'll do that as soon as I close out of here. All right. Very cool. Good night, everybody. I will see you tomorrow at the same time, and I'll talk to the team about which topic we want to tackle next. But if you have any ideas on the topics that you want to tackle next, hit us up in Discord, and we will talk to you tomorrow.